time for part number 2, Student of the Gun on the road. Yes, we are still on the road. And we're going to give you 2 parts this week, and you are welcome. We've been obviously ridiculously busy since we've been on the road. Well, maybe not obviously, but take my word for it, we have been. Jared and I have been on the road for 5 days now as we record this. And we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about why we're on the road, what we did on the road on our recent trip. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and do a Go Team Moment follow-up. Now, we talked about this last week because it actually had just happened. And it was the shooting at the mall in Fort Smith, Arkansas. And the reason we brought it up last week is we said, this is probably a story that you are not going to hear from the mainstream media, from MSNBC, from anybody, because it didn't end like they want it to end. What happened was good people who were lawfully armed with guns stopped a bad person from committing, one or more murders. And because of that, they're like, well, we're not really interested in that. Ho-hum. Oh, yeah, we don't really want to talk about it when good people use guns to defend others. We only want to talk about psychos. But this one right here, this is the follow-up. Basically is no charges, prosecutors state, no charges will be filed in the fatal shooting at the Fort Smith Mall. And the story is pretty interesting, actually. We talked last week about the estranged husband, in case you missed it, a guy named Fadi Kandil. It was estranged from his wife. Apparently she had accused him of spousal abuse and so forth. And he decided he was going to take a gun and he was going to go kill her. Well, it didn't work out so well for him because, fortunately for his wife, Tabitha, when Fadi found them, she was talking to 2 men in a parking lot out here at this mall, and he walked up to him and said, "Hey, what's up?" Reached in his waistband, pulled out a gun. Going to commence killing people. Well, Dustin O'Connor and, and Grayson Hara both used their guns. Now, Grayson was actually the one who returned fire, and Dustin drew his weapon but didn't fire. And you're like, well, dude, what's up with him not shooting? Well, he said what happened essentially was Grayson saw what was going on, drew his pistol, engaged the bad guy, shot the bad guy down to the ground. And by the time O'Connor got his gun out, he said, well, the bad guy was already on the ground, so I didn't fire. Good choice. Go team. Mr. Hara was shot in the exchange, but he's expected to do just fine to survive and move on. The aggressor in this one, Mr. Fadi, who thought he was going to go ahead and gun down his estranged wife and anybody who happened to be with her, he is now worm food, and so go team.
Those 2 guys must not have got the memo.
Oh, they didn't get the memo to be a good victim?
No, the memo that if you ever draw your gun, you better kill somebody. You shoot to kill.
Yeah. Jared's talking about the advice that people, this weird gun shop advice or whatever, like, well, if you ever pull your gun out, you better be ready to kill. Well, sometimes you might get your gun out and you don't have to. You have to be able to think with a gun in your hand. So, go team moment. The good people down there in Arkansas have decided not to charge these guys. We have to wonder if that would have happened in a different state, one of the communist states, slave states such as California.
Would you say that they were in a zone of danger?
I would say they were definitely in a zone of danger.
Okay. Danger zone.
Danger zone. All right. Moving on. But we thought you guys would appreciate that update. Now, where are we on the road and why are we on the road? Well, we are on the road because we've been visiting with some of our sponsors, some of our good friends in the industry. First place we went to Republic, Missouri. We told you guys that Crossbreed Holsters, we've been telling you for, I don't know, a year or more now, Crossbreed Holsters of Republic, Missouri. And a lot of you people may not know where Republic is. You're like, I know got my Missouri geography down pretty well. I know where, St. Louis is. I know where Springfield is. I know where Columbia is, but I never heard of Republic. Well, Republic is just outside of Springfield. And if you know what Springfield, Missouri is all about, what is in Springfield, Missouri? They're hunters and anglers and sportsmen. That's right. The headquarters, the mothership of the Bass Pro. The Bass Pro mothership, the giant. And Jared, is that store big enough?
Yeah, it's huge. And one of our fans said, they posted on the Facebook, I think, and told us to go by the Bass Pro and look at the NRA museum that just opened, and it's actually really, really cool.
That's actually what we did.
Yeah, we got to see
Teddy Roosevelt's desk or nightstand gun.
What was it? Was it a 38?
It was a 32. It was a Colt 32.
Yeah,
I think it was a Colt.
A president had a gun on his
nightstand while he was in the White House,
and the gun didn't shoot him.
That's crazy talk. Can you imagine that today here in the modern times, that a president having the cojones enough to actually arm themselves? You're crazy, Paul. So we spent some time with our friends at Crossbreed Holsters, and we shot some video. We've got some new material where we're going to explain and demonstrate. Not just a lot of people already know about the Super Tuck holsters. I mean, they've been around for a while. People are like, oh, Crossbreed, yeah, I know them, the Super Tuck. Well, they make a lot of other products as well. They make a product called the Ram Mount, which allows you to mount a firearm to pretty much anything.
You know what I'm sitting here thinking about?
What's that?
How can I use the Ram mount from Crossbreed Holsters to mount microphones in the car? So we could do this while we're driving
on the road. That's right. We'll have to have some kind of stabilizer so that we don't get road noise into the microphones, but we could probably do that. Although I think that our insurance company would send us a memo and say, don't record the radio show while you're driving.
Well, you're not allowed to talk while you're driving. It's not like you're looking at a computer screen.
That's true. I do talk when I drive. So let me tell you guys a little bit. We've got that. We've got the Ram mount, and then there's the Purse Defender, which is genius. But all these things are kind of visual items. So look forward to some new material coming up on Student of the Gun TV. Yes, we have new material. I promise you. Jared has been burning the midnight oil and the noon oil and you name it, whatever oil you need to burn. And he's working on new material. And we've been filming as well. But Crossbreed Holsters is less than 10 years old. They're going to be 10 years old next year. Mark Craighead, who is the founder. Mark, he's a devoted husband and father. He's a shooter. He was a competitor. He was a hunter. He was a registered nurse, and he was also a tinkerer. And the reason Crossbreed came to be was like the reason many products have come to be in the United States. An entrepreneur or someone with an entrepreneurial spirit starts tinkering, starts experimenting, and the reason Mark came up with the Super Tuck is because he couldn't find a holster that was available at the time that could do what he wanted. There were holsters that were similar to what he ended up with, but they weren't as comfortable, or they didn't secure the weapon as well, or you couldn't conceal them as well. And what he did, like so many tinkerers and manufacturers, experimenters before, is he went out into his garage and he just started cutting and creating and putting clips and doing all this stuff. And I talked to Trent Cooper, who is Mark's right-hand man, and he goes, Mark went through innumerable different designs, he said there was some stuff he thought it was going to be a good idea. Turned out it wasn't a good idea, threw it away, started all over again. And America, that's how we get stuff done. They say Thomas Edison had more, like hundreds more failures than he ever had successes, but he didn't quit. And
when you fail, you find out how not to do something.
Exactly. And so what Mark did is, he started making the Super Tuck. He came up with an idea. He came up with a concept. He made it for himself. And then, of course, how does that work? Well, it always works as, you show your buddies. He showed a cop buddy, and his cop buddy's like, man, that's awesome. Can you make one for me? And he's like, okay, I'll make one for you. And then that cop's buddy's like, hey, man, can you make one for me? Can you make one for me? And he started, basically a hobby business where he was making holsters, but they became so popular that he got to that crossroad. And this is where many people, many business owners, many entrepreneurs, many potential entrepreneurs, this is where they get to. They get to that point where now they have 2 full-time jobs. And he told me before he passed away, Mark said, I got to that point in my life where the holsters were moving and I was selling them, but I wasn't quite selling enough of them to only do that. He said, however, doing another full-time job, I couldn't make as many holsters as I needed to make. And he said, I had to make a decision. Like, I couldn't keep doing both things. I had to either devote myself to this, or I had to just go back to my regular job and say, hey, that was a cool hobby, but I'm not going to do it anymore. And I had the opportunity to sit down with Carol Craighead, Mark's wife, and we talked about that. We talked about that conversation about, and I related to her how Mark had told me that he had to make that decision. He said, I've got to figure out either I'm going to do this for real, or I'm going to stop doing it and I'm going to get back to work. And she said, if nothing else, you guys need to know, Mark Craighead, not only was he a devoted husband and father and tinkerer and shooter and stuff, he was a man of faith. He absolutely was a man of faith. And Carol said, Mark got to that point and he prayed and he said, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, let me know. And if it's not, that's cool. I'll go and do something else. He said, but if this is what I should do, help me know it. Show me a sign. And Carol said he made that commitment and they were getting ready to go on a trip. She and he were getting ready to go on a little vacation. And they got in the car the next day and were driving. Carol said, I was driving and Mark's phone kept ringing and it kept ringing. And she said, before we could even get to where we were going, Mark had taken 12 orders on the phone. And she kind of chuckled. She goes, well, today, 12 orders is nothing. It's no big deal. She goes, but back then when he was making them all himself in his garage on a workbench, she said 12 orders was huge. She said, we never got 12 orders in one day ever. And that's when he knew. She said, that was the sign. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this as a full-time business. And in addition to all that, I think you guys need to know, and one of the things I want to share with you is that a lot of people think that they're being, and this was taught to me a couple of years ago, they think they're being entrepreneurs when they start a small business. But what many of them are actually just doing is creating a job for themselves. And what I mean is this. If you start a small business and then for whatever reason you, as the individual, can't be there to do the job, does the job get done? And you say, well, no. Or you have your own electrical company, your own plumbing company, your own cake frosting company, whatever. Is it just a job for you to do, or could someone else do it? If you're not there at that moment in time, does the work still get done? Or could you take that business that you've created and legitimately hand it off or sell it to someone else, or create it, step away from it, and let someone else run it? And if you look at small businesses today, a lot of times you say, well, no, if I stepped away from my business, it would end. There'd be nothing. I have to be there every single day. And that's not really being an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is somebody who creates something that can outlast them. And that is absolutely what Mark Craighead did.
The best way that I've seen it put, I was reading a book. I don't remember what book it was. It's the one sitting right here in front of me. It's The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Is that what it is? Michael Gerber? Mm-hmm. I can't see because your finger's in the way. Yeah, Michael Gerber, The E-Myth. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to read that book, The E-Myth Revisited. But the best way I've seen it put is you either own a business or you own a job. And if you have to be there for the work to get done, then you own a job. And most people go into business thinking, well, I'll relieve myself of all these duties by starting this business, but they don't realize that they have to create a system to be able to do that. And that's what Crossbreed is now because of Mark Craighead and his family and what he did.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I really like about them is their whole business is their family. And they refer to the whole Crossbreed Holsters business as their family and not just their workers or their employees. It's a family.
Yeah. The Crossbreed Holsters story is legitimately a microcosm of the American dream. It's what the American dream is supposed to be. You know, back in the 50s and 60s and even 70s, when they taught that in schools, when they didn't teach you like they do today that, you know, that profits are bad and CEOs are bad and corporations are bad, back before this revisionist history garbage. If you look at the American dream, it's a person having an idea, taking that idea and taking risks. You know, like, oh, well, it obviously was going to work. No, nothing is ever obvious. Talk to somebody that has a successful small business that has lasted more than 5 years. And those people, they're like, oh, man, when you work for yourself, you don't have to work at all. No, when you work for yourself, instead of working 40 hours a week, you work 70 hours a week. And when you work for yourself and you take days off, those aren't vacation days. Those are just days that you don't get paid. So what Mark Craighead did is he took a risk. He took a gamble. He had an idea. He had a passion. He took a risk and he developed something. He built something that was able to outlast him, that he was able to give to his family as their legacy. And now, you know, Carol and my good friend Trent Cooper and Matt Craighead, Mark's brother. Matt is he is the wizard behind the curtain at Crossbreed. Matt came up with the bedside backup. He came up with the purse defender. He came up with the RAM mount, which we're going to feature Matt on the TV show here real soon. But we had a fantastic time up in Republic, Missouri. Everybody was gracious. They welcomed us. They made us feel right at home. We got to meet with, they've got, and here's, you know, something that all your hippie douche nozzle friends that are, well, they're not friends of yours. They're just people that you know that want to spout off about corporation this and corporation that is, well, they're a corporation and they went from employing one person to now 9 years later, because Carol said they started officially in 2005, they employ over 34, I think 34 plus some part-timers that work for them. So those are 34 people that have gainful employment and they have a good job because of what one man did, because of the idea and the passions of one man. So we thought you guys would appreciate that story, and we're very, very glad to be able to bring it to you. And like I said, stay tuned because we're going to have a lot more on the TV show about new products from Crossbreed Holsters.
Where do you go to watch the TV show? I think I forget.
Dish Network, channel 266, Mondays at 9.
Well, I don't have Dish, so obviously I can't watch it.
Oh, well then go to studentofthegun.com.
Oh, okay.
Do you have an internet-capable device?
Only the computer? Or?
Yeah, on the actual computer you can watch the...
Oh, but not your phone?
Well, you can watch it on your phone, too.
Oh,
if you have the mobile app.
Sweet.
Do you have the mobile app? Do you have an iPhone? Do you have an Android-capable phone?
I have.
If somebody asks me one more time about a Windows phone, I'm going to tell them...
Go buy an iPhone.
Go get a real phone. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I hurt your feelings?
You know, we actually have all of the phones in our at Student of the Gun. We have access to all of them.
On mobile.
Windows.
A Windows phone.
iPhone.
Android. Phone, tablet. You name it.
Yeah.
Like Jared said, if you haven't downloaded the mobile app yet on your device, iPad, iPhone.
You get on iPads too?
iPad too.
Oh, wow.
Anything that can reach out and connect to the internet. So check that out. You can download the mobile app, Student of the Gun mobile app, for free. Absolutely for free.
Now, hold on a second. Nothing's ever free.
No, you're right. It's free to you because of our good friends at
Century Arms.
See how he did that? He just he set me up, and I was able to knock that one out of the park. And thank you to our friends at Century Arms yet again for donating the awesome C39 Made in the USA AK, the range pack. And, of course, thanks to our good friends at Frog Lube for the donation of the Frog Tube cleaning kit to clean up that gun and keep it running.
Our winner is actually from Allenson, Michigan.
Allenson, Michigan?
Yeah, it's 4 hours away from the place that I said before.
Oh, okay.
Milford. I think I said Milford.
I don't know. So,
Some-
hold up your
he's
left,
from Allenson.
hold up your left hand and point and tell me where.
Yeah.
All you Michiganders, you guys will get that. You'll dig it, you homies. Hold up your left hand and point. All right. Where are we going to talk about now? Well, we're going to talk about now is, well, where are we right now? Well, we've kind of taken the long way around Missouri. First, we cut across the bottom. And here's a little shout out to you guys, you people from the Show Me State that know a little bit about your geography. We had lunch in Hayti on, was it Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah. A little town called Hayti. Not Haiti, but Hayti. And you Missouri people will get that. Kind of like Rio Linda, I think. Well, we did the loop. We went to Republic. We went to Springfield. Of course, we visited the Bass Pro Shop because that's what you do. It's like a trip to Mecca. And then we zipped all the way through the middle of the state to Columbia. And why are we in Columbia? Well, if you follow our social media, like you should, Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, remember we're doing a 2,000, 5,000, and 10,000 Instagram follower giveaway. And Jared, the boy wonder, he set up a whole bunch of really cool giveaways, holsters, and what do we got? They got the pen, the custom pen that's made out of bullet shell casings, bullet casings.
We got ammo. Ammo's going out.
Holsters.
We got gift certificates for a custom leather holster.
So, yeah, what you want to do is, if you're not following us on Instagram, shame on you. But if you are, then you're just shrugging your shoulders. You're like, get on with it, Paul. I already know that you're at the Bianchi Cup. Or is it the Bianchi Cup?
If I heard the word Bianchi with the A.
Is Bianchi or Bianchi?
I don't know. It's probably Bianchi.
You know what? Wherever you live, I don't know how you pronounce it in Boston. Maybe the Bianchi Cup.
You're going to go stuff your face with Pepperidge Farm.
Pepperidge Farm. So we are at the Bianchi Cup 2014, and this is actually the 35th annual Bianchi Cup competition. And it actually came to a close today as we're recording this. It's all over. They took down the banners, packed everything up. People are finishing up right now, saying their goodbyes and what have you. But we had a great time. We hung out with some of our buddies, some of our friends, and some of our sponsors. Our sponsors from Student of the Gun Radio, such as XS Sights and Colt, both sponsored the Bianchi Cup. And today, as we record this, we went down and we watched them do the Colt Speed Challenge. That's sponsored by Colt, obviously, and it's a steel plate challenge. And we hung out with our buddies. We hung out with our buddies Mark Christopher Lawrence. Mark Christopher Lawrence, if you don't know, he is a actor, comedian, and we actually talked to him previously on Student of the Gun, posted stuff up on our social media and so forth. What has Mark been on?
Glee. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, Mark was, for those of you that don't know, he was the boss on the TV show Chuck. He's been in, he did a part on Glee. He did a part on the My Name is Earl. He's been around a lot. A very, very funny guy. He's also a stand-up comedian. If you're out on the West Coast, you can check Mark out. He's always at a comedy club somewhere around there.
And he can sing too. And what did we learn about Chris Serino? He could play the.
Our friend Chris Serino can play a kazoo.
Kazoo, yeah, he could play a kazoo, and Mark can sing. I think they got a little band going on.
Maybe they should take that on the road.
Yeah.
And who else did we hang out with?
Mojo,
also known as Joe Mo from Red Jacket Firearms.
And if you don't know anything about the South, you spell Mo, MEAUX.
Well, not just the South, from Louisiana. If you're from Louisiana, you spell it Meaux. Don't ask. I know all you Yankees up there are like shaking your heads.
That's a French thing. It's got to be.
Yeah, it's the French thing. It's the French influence. So, yeah, Joe Mo and Mark Christopher Lawrence and our new friend, guy we just met. His name's Michael Broderick, and he's an actor and does lots of other stuff too in Hollywood. But they participated in the celebrity shoot today. And of course, if you guys are fans of the Top Shot show, season 1, I think you know that Chris Serino was on that, and the winner of Top Shot season 1, Ian Harrison. Ian's a friend of the show. He's now the editor of Recoil magazine. He's here. He shot today. Who else? Oh, our buddy Jim Shepard from the Shooting Wire, Outdoor Wire, Tactical Wire. He was out there shooting today. Jim didn't shoot himself, so that's good.
Everybody left with as many holes as they came with.
Yeah, no extra holes, so that's good.
Who else was there? I think.
Well, there's a lot of people there. They actually had over 300 competitors this year. Our buddy Tom Hughes, who is the match director for the Bianchi Cup, he said they actually broke the 300 competitor mark this year, which is a pretty big deal for them.
Oh, our other friend Irv
Stone from Barstow.
Yeah, Barstow.
Barstow Precision. You know, Barstow
he's
barrels?
A cool dude.
We had last night. Jared and I were able to sit down at the pool and have cigars with our buddy Mark, and I don't know if Irv had a cigar or not, but he was there, and
yeah, Irv
and Chris
Irv
was there. Chris Serena was there, and
while you were talking to Joe and Joe's fixer,
Jordan. Hey, Jordan.
While you were over there talking to them, I was talking to Irv, and he was telling me about how the Bianchi Cup and just basically anything that they did or he's done in the shooting industry, he used to go around with his dad, and that was like a father-son thing.
Mm.
So I got to relate with him. That's what I do. He got to see his father was an influence on the shooting industry, and that's kind of what I get to do.
That's very cool. There was a lot of father-son teams here. Chris Serino, our buddy. Chris is from our original home state of Ohio, and he brought his son and wife with him. So very cool, very cool. We had a great time. Spent a lot of time out at it's the Green Valley Rifle and Pistol Range outside of Hallsville, Missouri. And if you guys are really serious students of the gun, and I mean serious, you guys will know that Hallsville, Missouri is also the home of the original Chapman Academy. Some of you older guys are like, oh, Ray Chapman. I know Chapman Academy. If you guys want to see something really cool, if you're, it's not on Student of the Gun, it's Paul Markle. We were in the old clubhouse, or the original clubhouse today. Jared and I were. And they've got black and white photos from some of the old Bianchi Cups going back 35 years. And we saw black and white photos of our friend Bill Wilson of Wilson Combat. If you guys know Wilson Combat and Bill Wilson, he doesn't just make guns. He shoots them, and he has shot them for 30 years or more exceedingly well. Bill's not just a tinkerer. He's not just a gun maker. He's a shooter. He's one of the few people in the industry that build guns and actually shoot them very well. And we put up a photo. We actually took a picture with our phone and put that up today, a black and white picture. That must have been back in the early 80s, I'm guessing, with that picture of Bill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was probably 25 to 30 years ago. So Bianchi Cup. Bianchi Cup is over. You say, well, I want to get involved. Well, how do you get involved, Jared? You go to the NRA's Competitive Shooting Sports, and you sign up. We had, what do we have, Jared? How many teams from other countries did we have?
I know at least 3. There was Australia, New Zealand, Germany.
Barbados.
Yeah,
don't forget about Barbados. There was 2 teams that we know for sure. 2 teams from Australia, a team from New Zealand, a team from Germany, a team from Barbados, and then, of course, people from all over the United States, young and old. They have a juniors category. They have the professional category. And I'm not going to tell you guys who won. I'm going to make you look it up on your own. But I can tell you this for all you competitive shooting dudes and dudettes. Doug Koenig did not win this year. You're like, oh, now I got to get to my computer and find out who did win. And Julie Golob didn't win the women's one. So you have to look that up and see who actually did. So check that out. What else are we going to talk about, Jared? What do we want to talk about today? And, well, actually, what I should do is I should look over there and have you look at your magic clock and say, how far into this part 2 episode are we?
We're not even 30 minutes. We're coming up close on 30. So we can talk about some secrets. You want to talk about some secrets?
We could talk about Mother's Brewing Company of Springfield, Missouri, that makes a very nice American blonde ale. I don't know, is this considered an ale? Yes, it is a premium ale called Towhead. Those of you who didn't know it, there is a brewing company in Springfield, Missouri, and we're sampling some of their wares. When we have a family-friendly rating, are we allowed to talk about that?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Jared says yes.
We'll just blur out the logos.
Okay, we'll blur out the logos so they can't see. Okay, I can go with that. Well, it does say on here that you should not drive or operate heavy equipment, so there's that, and that pregnant women should not imbibe. And it also said it goes great with fish, poultry, shellfish, cheese, salads, cheese, and pork. So now, but I don't suppose if you're a smelly Muslim terrorist flying a jet that you probably would want to have pork or ale. But for you Americans, you can truly imbibe. Jared is actually right now reading the label as we're recording this. You getting it all down over there, brother?
Yeah. I'm enjoying it.
Well, folks, let me tell you. When you hear this, it will either be Memorial Day, or it will be very soon after Memorial Day, because that's when this is going to be released. It's going to be released Monday, Memorial Day. And as a nation, we sometimes get a little bit confused, and we sometimes forget what our holidays are all about. You know, when I was a kid, we actually celebrated Washington's birthday and Abraham Lincoln's birthday as individual days. And then the U.S. government got bored with doing that, and they decided they could take another day off, and they just said to combine them into President's Day. Now, we have a Veterans Day in November, and that is to commemorate our U.S. military veterans, both living and dead. But we have Memorial Day. Now, Jared, what was Veterans Day before it was Veterans Day? What holiday was it?
Can I play the public school card?
You know, he's going to play the public school card.
Can I phone a friend?
It was Armistice Day. You know what? Actually, when I was in...
I was going to say Armament Day, but I wasn't sure,
Armistice
so I was
Day.
close.
What is Armistice Day?
It's Veterans Day.
No. Well, what was Armistice Day? Why did they celebrate and commemorate that?
Because
it was the end of... The cessation of violence of...
The end of the veteran movement.
Oh, you're an idiot. World War I, for those of you that went to public schools.
Give me a little bit of credit. I'm not as dumb as I look. I knew that.
You knew that? Did you know it was the end of World War I?
The end of World War II?
One.
I'm just kidding. Yes.
So anyway, well, let's talk about Memorial Day. Memorial Day is not about veterans. It's not about talking about veterans. And you're like, well, we should always talk about veterans. We should always talk about our servicemen. No, Memorial Day is the day that you're supposed to take just one moment out of your day and consider and appreciate the fact that for the last 200 plus years that your fellow citizens, people from your community, people from your state, volunteered and went forward and surrendered their lives in defense of this nation. That's what you're supposed to remember. It's great to say, I support the troops, and it's great to tell guys in uniform that, you know, thank you for your service and all that jazz. That's great. But that's not what Memorial Day is all about. Memorial Day is a time to solemnly remember and be proud of the fact that you live in a nation where people are willing to do that, are willing to, that they believe that there have been for the last 200 plus years fellow citizens that looked out across the nation and saw something more than themselves.
They cared so much about you that they were willing to die. It's basically it wasn't about them. It was about the generations below them, you.
And, I'm very fortunate to come from a long line of military veterans. And I'm also very, very fortunate that of that line, most of the veterans did survive the conflicts that they were involved in. My family members have been in World War II, in the Vietnam War, in World War I, in the Civil War, in the Revolutionary War. Matter of fact, that's how my family ended up here, was because great-great-great-great-great-grandpa came over here and joined Washington's Army. He actually joined the Pennsylvania Riflemen in April of 1776 and fought with Washington's Army for about 2 years. And that started my military legacy, or our family's military legacy here in the United States of America. But folks, we hope that you enjoyed your barbecue and your parades and whatever you did on Monday, or whatever you will do on Monday. But we invite you to take a moment and just reflect on that. And a lot of my friends, many of my friends, my compatriots, people that I've worked with in the United States military as a contractor, my good friend Shane, who's deployed overseas right now. Shane, if you can hear me, hang in there, brother. I'll see you soon. We've all lost friends, had friends that didn't come back. And so Memorial Day, it means something a little more special to those men and women who have left their friends behind or had to bring their friends home and lay them to rest. And if you have anybody in your family that is in that position, take a moment and just let them know. You don't have to to be subservient, or you don't have to overdo it. Just let them know that you do appreciate that fact. And we do. We appreciate that here at Student of the Gun. Now, Jared, go ahead and say what you got to say over there on your end.
Are you going to sing to me? There's a song called "Say What You Got to Say" or something like that. Do you want to? I mean, you just said pretty much everything that I wanted to say about Memorial Day. And
well, I don't know. I needed to take a moment to clear my throat and compose myself.
Yeah, you could tell by your voice you were getting kind of.
So, all right, listen up, hippies. Pay attention. It is Memorial Day, but don't forget, right now we are in a fight as a nation. Why are we in a fight as a nation? Because obviously, if you pay attention, half of this nation is asleep at the wheel. Half of this nation has fallen into a situation where they become comfortable slaves. They're happy to collect the breadcrumbs that fall from the table, and they don't know what liberty is all about. They don't even realize it. You say to them liberty, and they don't even recognize that word. And you say to yourself, well, I know things are going wrong. I know things are looking bleak. I know I need to prepare myself, and I need to prepare my family. I know all these things, but I don't know where to start, and I don't know what to do. I watched a TV show, some kind of doomsday preppers deal, and I saw those people, and I'm like, oh, that's the last thing I want is my neighbors to think that I'm one of these, like, end-of-the-world doomsday kind of crazy people. But at the same time, you watch the news, you look around, you realize that you should be doing something. But what? Well, that's why Jared and I sat down and came up with the Patriot Fire Team, the concept of the Patriot Fire Team. That's why Jared worked so hard coming up with the PatriotFireTeam.com, is so you guys could go there, sign up for the free newsletter, How to Get Started. What is a Patriot Fire Team? Is it some kind of a crazy end-of-the-world militia? No. What it is it's your guideline to strengthening your family, to strengthening your community, to putting yourself in a position, and your friends and your family, where you don't have to be reliant upon outside sources for your day-to-day needs. Because let's face it, if your plan is to sit down on the ground and hold your hand out and wait for somebody to put food in it, that's not the best plan. That is not what American patriots do. That is not what our grandparents did. That is not what our great-grandparents did. And it sure as heck is not what our great-great-grandparents did in 1776 and so forth. They didn't sit on the ground, stick their hand up in the air and say, King George, please put something in my hand. They went out and they took care of business. And that's what I want you to do. But first, you need to go to patriotfireteam.com. Sign up for the newsletter. We're going to ask you for a small investment. The investment is your first name and an email address. That's it. No money down, nothing. All you have to do is invest your name and an email address, and you will automatically, as soon as you get that email and you say, yes, I want to do this, and you confirm it, we'll send you the how to get started. And it's basically an outline. How can you work with a few of your friends? That's what a Patriot Fire Team is. It's you and a few of your friends that you trust. It's as simple as this. Do you have any friends that if you are out of town and you're working in wherever on the job and a tornado hits or an ice storm hits or something happens and your family needs help, who could you rely upon to help your family? And whose family would you help? That's what it's all about. So take a moment if you have a time, and I know you got the time because you're listening to me right now. You're probably on the treadmill, or you're driving back and forth from work, or you're at work and the boss thinks that you're working, or maybe you are working and you got one earbud in, and Jared can't see you over there in the corner with your earbud hanging out of your ear. Jared's like, what? Yeah. Jared, what do most of the workers at your work do? They listen to audiobooks and podcasts while they're working.
Yep. The audiobooks, podcasts, radio,
that kind of
stuff
stuff
to keep you entertained.
Yeah.
I know when we walked through the Crossroad plant, every single one of them had headphones in.
Yeah. All the guys that are, hopefully they're listening to Student of the Gun Radio. If they're not, shame on them. But
if you are, I'm glad you can hear my voice.
Yeah.
I'm sure
if you're working, if you're building a holster right now and you're listening to this, go team. Good job. Oh, you want to tell them some good news about Crossbreed? Obviously last year, well, maybe not obviously again, but last year they had a huge influx of orders. It was crazy during, well, everything, whether you made guns, ammo, holsters, slings, clothes, boots, whatever, anything that was gun related last year was back ordered. It was crazy. But we talked to Trent, and he said that right now they're 14 to 16 days out on holsters.
Yeah,
and that's they get the order. And remember, when you order a holster from Crossbreed, they're not going over back to a shelf and pulling it out, sticking it in a bag, and sending it to you. They take your specifications, whatever you sent them. You said, I want a horsehide backing, a combat cut. I want the metal clips, and it needs to be for, a car P45. Bam. They make that for you. They have a guy go over to the bench, and he hand makes it for you. Then they send it to you. So they're not just, pulling these out of a bin and sticking them in. They're making them specifically to your specification. That's why you don't get them in 2 days. But quality takes time, and quality is worth it. So if you want to do that, if you go to crossbreedholsters.com, check them out, order anything you like. And like we said, they're really happy. And, they're actually expanding. Crossbreed is, thanks to what Mark Craig had started almost 10 years ago, they're now to a point where they're actually going to expand their manufacturing facility. And don't forget about our good friends at XS Sights. XS Sights. Oh, Monty Long. Sorry, Monty. And Josh. Monty and Josh were here representing the team good guy from XS Sights at the Bianchi Cup. Josh is an IRC guy. He's a revolver shooter, and Monty was shooting a Glock with XS Sights on it. So we want to say hi to those guys. Keltec Firearms of Cocoa, Florida. Don't forget about KeltecWeapons.com. You can check them out. And, of course, Colt, who we already talked about, but we can give them one more plug, makers of the LE901 rifle. Now, we talked about it before, but don't forget you can watch Student of the Gun TV on Dish 266, 9 o'clock Eastern, That's Eastern. And or you can just go to studentofthegun.com, or you can download the mobile app, or whatever you want to do. Now, Jared, you got a really intense look on your face over there. You're looking at your computer monitor. What else is going on over there?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing?
Absolutely. You know that zone that you get in when you're not thinking about anything, you're focusing on what you're focusing on?
Is that what you're doing?
Do you get there?
No, I never get there. But what I need you to focus on is queuing up the music, because, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, you are a beginner once, but you should indeed be a student for life.